Our fresh mix of cultural entertainment and information programming has filled a void in the television industry at a rapidly growing pace.
A live phone-in program with Kade Ogudamisi.
This is Ben Television, live from London.
People of the world, and that's one good thing we want.
Yeah.
And I hope they can get Jailer Foundation to be involved.
Well, I just hope that I tell you something, Don. From I was a child, I've been hearing about bad things happening in Haiti.
Our programs are entertaining.
Man, it's your boy Lloyd Banks. Let's A to the Z exhibit.
It's the kid 50 Cent.
Keep watching the Big Bang Show.
My name is Dayo Adene. My friends and fans do call me D1. I keep it locked because I watch Ben Television.
Good evening, Nigeria, and good evening to our viewers from around the world. My name is Kayode Ogundamisi, and this is your program, Politics with KO. And tonight, it's about the Niger Delta, the cost of oil, and the struggle for the people of the Niger Delta. That is the basket of Nigeria, what they call the heartbeat of Nigeria. And we want to find out what's been happening since the struggle of Isaac Adakaboro, Ken Saro-Wiwa, and now we have a Niger Delta president. What's happened so far? What's the way forward for the Niger Delta? And tonight I have a very interesting guest, Annkio Briggs, an Amazon as a caller in the Niger Delta. She's been involved in the struggle for the environmental rights and justice to the people of the Delta region. But first, I would hand you over to our Ngozi Gale to tell us what's the news around the world. And, of course, that news about President Jonathan. Ngozi, today you're with me, so let's have the news.
I am with you, yes. So, like you rightly said, it's about President Jonathan. And, of course, as we know, President Jonathan arrived yesterday to preside over the meeting of the Honorary International Investment Council. But unfortunately, he's been indisposed, I beg your pardon. And the State House press release by Special Advisor to the President, Ruben Abati, states today that President Jonathan has since been examined by competent medical practitioners and is advised to rest for a few days. They also go ahead to say that the President wishes to assure all Nigerians that President Jonathan's condition is nothing serious and that the medical attention he's sought is only precautionary. Of course, as you know, this meeting is aimed at attracting more foreign direct investment into Nigeria. And it's also a way of showing that Nigeria is definitely a suitable location for investors. The meeting was initially founded and set up about a decade ago by the former president, Mr. Olusegun Obasanjo, in 2004. So we're wishing President Jonathan a very speedy recovery. Moving on, immigration. There is fear that a Nigerian asylum seeker whose asylum seeking has failed is close to death following a hunger strike, which has been on for the past 85 days. This has been going on at the Hammondsworth Immigration Center, which is near Heathrow Airport. The 45-year-old Mr. Ifa Muaza has refused food in protest of a High Court ruling ordering him to be removed from the UK and sent back to Nigeria. Mr. Muaza claims he is at risk of assassination by the terror group Boko Haram if he were forced to return back home to Nigeria. As British authorities have taken a very hard stance on deportation as part of clampdown on asylum seekers, his appeal for release has been rejected by London High Court recently. So his lawyers have described the court ruling as a death sentence for Mr. Ifa Muaza. And in politics now, the Anambra state election that took place last Saturday has prompted protests by local women in the state due to inconclusive results of the gubernatorial elections. Police have even used tear gas to try and disperse protesting women in Anambra state who blockaded the Independent National Electoral Commission office in Awka because they were demanding a cancellation of the weekend's election. Last Saturday, INEC conducted governorship elections in the state, as we all know, but the exercise was inconclusive as apparently voting materials were not adequately supplied in some areas. But following that, the INEC chairman, Professor Atahiru Jega, has agreed that there's been some mistakes and is offered to conduct a rerun in 65 polling units, but opposition parties have rejected this offer. And finally, moving on to football, everybody's excited about the result, of course, that we know happened on Monday following the friendly know, they also qualified after playing in Ethiopia last Saturday. And this means that they're going forward, and everybody's looking forward to how well we're going to do in 2014 World Cup that's coming up in June. And with that, I'm going to pass you back to Kayode. My name is Ngozi Gill. Thank you for listening. Before I go, actually, Kayode, can you tell us what's happened? Why are you wearing some glasses? You're trying to be hard man?
No, not really. Actually, I am, well, oh God, you're putting me on the spot.
Yes, I am.
Well, I'm wearing these glasses because I had a freak accident. And what the good thing about it is that myself and President Jonathan are going to be served by very competent doctors. I mean, I went to the Moorfield Hospital, and it was excellent. So President Jonathan had the opportunity of sharing the same best services in the world, you know. He's not in General Hospital in Kenya, so I'm fine. Hopefully the glasses will go next week when hopefully my eyes will recover. But tonight it's serious. The Niger Delta is the breadbasket of Nigeria. And for a very, very long time, it's been abandoned, neglected, environmental injustice. If you go to the Delta region, you will just be amazed at the kind of poverty. It's actually very appalling that a region that has produced the wealth of Nigeria has been left from 1950, even before the advent of oil, till date. The people of the Delta cannot boast or cannot say to themselves, look, we're happy to have oil, and oil is giving us wealth. So over the years, people like Isaac Kaboro, Ken Saro-Wiwa, and of recent, Enrioka, Sari Dokubo, and the different Niger Delta militants, as they say, have been saying to the Nigerian state, we want justice for the people of the Delta. But of course, there's a lot of debate about the quality of activism going on in the Delta. And that struggle produced President Jonathan, and we ask ourselves, what is the way forward for the people of the Delta, and is oil a cause to the Niger Delta? We're going to review the history of the Delta, what has gone wrong in the struggle in the Delta, and I have with me tonight Annkio, who is more than competent to just talk about this issue because she's been involved in the Niger Delta struggle. Han, you're welcome to London, and this is Ben TV. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening.
And let me first say that you look different. The last time I saw you was at that event almost 5 or 4 years ago when we were talking about the right of President Jonathan to become the president. We're on the same side saying that he should not be victimized because he's from the Delta. He deserves the right to be the president of the country. Things have changed since then. How far have we gone since Yar'Adua passed and we have a President Jonathan today?
I don't know that things have changed. The only thing that changed is that Nigerians came out massively.
Yeah.
We can't take that away from Nigerians. Nigerians came out massively. Civil society was strongly behind him. That's where we met with the Save Nigeria group. Nigerians from across Nigeria came out, irrespective of what the opposition today, which was still the opposition at that time. Nigerians did not listen to them. But very quickly, I think that I need to say happy birthday to the president, even though it's a belated birthday, and then also to wish him well. I'm very sure that we Nigerians don't really have to worry too much, because even when I came in about a week ago, within an hour of coming in from the heat in Nigeria and getting here, I had issues breathing very properly. I had a very bad cold, you know, so I'm almost certain that our president is in competent hands. But nothing really has changed from the time we all said the right thing should be done in Nigeria, which is really the issue. Even from before Nigeria was amalgamated, the right thing was not done. If the right thing was done, even at the amalgamation, Nigeria will not be where we are today. And definitely the issue of the Niger Delta is a great issue in Nigeria. And until we actually face the reality and face the problem of the Niger Delta, Niger Delta.
Yeah.
There is a difference between corruption in Nigeria and the looting of the resources of the Niger Delta region.
But Anne, I'm going to have to interrupt you here. If you say looting of the Niger Delta, argument will be that there are more looting of the Niger Delta perpetrated by the Niger Delta ruling elites, you know, as much as non-Niger Deltans.
No. That is definitely a misinformation. Where are the Niger Delta elites? Where are the ruling Niger Delta elites? When you say that, we will quickly end up with saying that these so-called ruling elites are politicians.
Yeah.
Then if we say so, I argue constantly that the Niger Delta is not very well represented politically the way it should be represented. And as a matter of fact, Nigeria itself is not represented politically, because if people are allowed to choose their leaders, if people are allowed to choose the politicians that they want, I think that we will be in a different Nigeria, because the right thing will be done.
You chose Ibori, you chose Egbenedion, you chose Oduaga. The people decided to choose...
Nigerians, I mean, Yoruba people chose Fashola, they chose Tinubu, and all the other governors. But still, Nigeria is not the way that it should be. So we shouldn't, when we're talking about bad governance, it should not be restricted to the Niger Delta. And the issue of bad governance in the Niger Delta should not be restricted to saying that the people who are today in position of a political position, that they are squarely and only the problem of the Niger Delta. No, this system in Nigeria is a very wrong system. The political system is a system that these governors and the ministers and the commissioners, the people in politics, have actually come into politics with the type of system that is already bad, is already rotten, is already wrong. And so when you move into that situation politically, if you are not there to change, to make drastic changes, then you will...
Who represents the Niger Delta has not made as effective a change in the Niger Delta as it should have been by any Nigerian president?
No, you see, if I wouldn't say disappointed in Jonathan, disappointed in the system. Because you see, if Jonathan came in as the president of Nigeria and focuses in straight as he comes in, he will if he focuses in straight on the Niger Delta region, he will be accused of abandoning Nigeria, which really he shouldn't do, because he's the president.
He gave Bayelsa State a sudden increase in derivation formula. That was what led to the...
No, I mean, Jonathan does not have the sole right.
The National Assembly took him off on that.
Jonathan does not have the sole right to do so. But then if we're even talking about derivation, if we have proper governance the way it should be, if every federating unit, which is the state or the ethnic group, whichever way we're looking at it, but if the federating units are really federating, and therefore it means that people are generating their own income and then paying tax to the center, we will not be talking about derivation. And that is what, personally, I want Nigerians to drive. Let everybody who owns a natural resource in his land become the owner of that natural resource. Meaning that let every local government, let every community, let every state that owns these resources do what they want with the resources and pay tax to the federal government. It means that if you have oil in your land and you decide not to exploit it, the federal government cannot ask you for tax because you're not exploiting it.
What that is going to translate to is that you're going to control your resources to an extent, which is something that is natural to ask. But the question people ask is, are you going to be able to have a new system from the confederating unit? Is it not just going to be like trickling down the same corruption?
Well, as a people, Nigerians must sit down. The different communities, the communities must have a sit down and ask themselves, why are we not developed? Like in my state, in my local government area, we should be able to sit down and say to ourselves, look, we are in a local government where a community in that local government is producing gas, is producing oil. Now, what does that community have to show for being the owner of those resources? Absolutely nothing. So already there is something drastically wrong with such a situation. Now, what we Nigerians in Nigeria has failed. We're going to be 100 years old. And at 100 years old, we cannot show what it is that we have done.
What will the changing of system entail? Is it a restructuring? Is it confederalism? Is it a complete breakup of Nigeria? Because some of the noise from the activists in the Niger Delta is, we want an Niger Republic. And I wonder how an Igbo man is going to stay alive in an Niger Republic.
Well, I don't know that the Igbo man is a Niger Delta man. The Igbo man is in a zone, a political zone that is called Southeast. Yeah. The Yoruba man is in a political zone that is called Southwest, and so on and so on. So the Niger Delta, you see, this whole thing about the Niger Delta, anytime Niger Delta people agitate, something is given to them to distract them from the agitation. It happened during the Wilkins Commission time. It happened during the military era. It happened during Babangida's time, Ompadek. It happened during Obasanjo's time, NDDC. It happened during the late Yaradua's time, Ministry of Niger Delta. Now, looking at all of these things, none of these things have worked. So if they have not worked, what the Niger Delta people are saying is very simple. It's not strange. What we are saying is that let us own what is on our land first and foremost. It doesn't have to break up Nigeria.
And that is where my confusion sets in with activists from the Niger Delta region. It's like a Jonathan presidency was sacrificed for that fundamental struggle for the emancipation of the Niger Delta. And now you have the worst oil spillage in the Niger Delta than the previous presidency. Was that a mistake on your part?
No, it can never be a mistake. Fighting for justice can never be a mistake. And we have not achieved what people like Ken Sarawiwa, people like Adaka Boro, people like the Asaris, the Henry Okas, even Goodluck Jonathan himself eventually becoming the president, like you quite rightly said, is part of the delivery of what we were agitating for. But I want to remind the world and Nigeria that we did not insist, nor did we start our agitation purely because we wanted to be a presidency.
Okay, because we've got a caller now. This is a hot topic. I've got Razak and Margaret on the line. First, let's have Margaret. Margaret, good evening.
Fans do call me D1.
Good evening, Margaret. Okay, if we don't have Margaret, how about Razak? Is Razak still there?
Yeah. Good evening.
Razak, how are you? Can you make your contribution, please?
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to quickly respond to this president's person.
To the what?
I would like to make a response to your guest.
Okay, go ahead, please.
We are talking about the leadership that, about the disruption of the Delta, the Niger Delta.
Yeah.
But thank God that Jonathan is from that area, and perhaps he has been part of this struggle. And minus or plus now, Jonathan has been there substantively or otherwise. He has been there almost about 4 years now. But what has he done to alleviate the suffering of these people we have been talking about? It's glaring. Karawiwo died for this struggle. A lot of people. But at the same time, thank God that Jonathan from that area who have been part of the struggle now emerge as the president.
Okay, I'll let Ann come in there because that question is directed to Ann. What has Jonathan done?
First of all, may I correct him? And I think he corrected himself. Yeah. And but I need to emphasize it. There is no point in being rude. One, and two, I am not the spokesperson of the president. I am from the same ethnic group with the president. Now, the president is the president of Nigeria. Absolutely. These very people will be the same people that will be jumping up and down if Jonathan has done anything for the Niger Delta. These very people are the people that will be jumping up and down. So we ourselves, as Niger Delta people, we have tried to contain ourselves by realizing that he is the president of Nigeria and not the president of the Niger Delta. And that's the point I was going to make before we took the call, which is to say that, look, if we insist or insisted from the beginning that because Jonathan is from the Niger Delta and because he's now the president, that he must address the issues of the Niger Delta, there would have been big problem. We have given Nigeria an opportunity as a government to use this time that a man from the Niger Delta is there to make sure that the injustices of the Niger Delta people are actually not only corrected, but is allowed to be addressed. But the way people are going about this thing, we will turn around and make this insistence that they are expecting us to make. And when we do, the repercussion of such, they will still not like it.
Before then, I've got Margaret. Margaret, good evening. Margaret is back. How are you?
Good evening.
Hello, Margaret.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, please make your contribution, please. I've got Annkio with me.
Oh, are you hearing me?
I can hear you clearly.
Oh, okay. Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. Just go ahead.
Okay, I'm just calling first and foremost to say hello to Auntie Ann.
Okay.
Hello.
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 Yeah. Are you hearing me?
She can hear you. Just go ahead. We don't have enough time. Just go ahead. Ann can hear you.
I'm just calling first and foremost to say thank you to Auntie Ann for her struggle for our people, the John Nation, and that she should continue with the good work that she's doing for us, because our people have been neglected, our environment has been damaged. No more, nothing is in our river anymore. So her fight is not in vain. She should carry on with it.
Okay, that's Margaret there. She wants to thank you for the good work. At least some people still appreciate what you're doing. Margaret, thanks for calling, because we want other callers to also come in too. But Margaret, it's still fair enough to say that the situation, look, I am probably the only Yoruba person apart from Wale Adeoye that witnessed the Kayama Declaration. And I can reel out the Kayama Declaration. I was in Ijaw land and we went through the bush and all those crises back then. But when I look at the 10 points demand in Kayama, I've not seen any huge difference apart from Niger Delta sons and daughters buying homes in Abuja, building hotels. But the people on the ground, and you voiced this out several times, nothing seems to be changing.
Well, I mean, all Nigerians from all different nooks and crannies of Nigeria are buying homes all over the world and Abuja, so that is not the issue. And you're quite right when you say that not a single demand of the Kayama Declaration has been met. And again, I emphasize that maybe, but then now looking back, I think maybe it was our fault that because Goodluck Jonathan became the president, that we thought it right not to continue, but to just give Nigeria a breathing space. Because see, these people criticizing us and Jonathan now will be the same people if we had continued with the agitation. They would have said, this Niger Delta people say, what do they want? Their man is now the president. We want the world to see and Nigeria to understand that being the president is not the solution to the problem. That is not the solution. The solution to the problems of Nigeria, but coming from the angle of the Niger Delta, which we're discussing today, the solution begins with government doing the right thing. And yes, and then when okay, for instance, you have the PIB bill, and you have the PIB bill, and a group of people from a certain part of Nigeria are refusing to support the PIB bill. Because already they are the majority in the House. They are the majority. So they are now holding Niger Delta people to ransom. Now, if Niger Delta people hold Nigeria to ransom, we will all be in darkness.
I would wait because I want to go on that PIB bill too. I've got another call. Good evening. Hello, good evening.
Hello, can you hear me?
Who is speaking, please?
Henry from Reading.
Okay, go ahead, Henry.
Hi, I just want to take your guess on the last comment you made. You said the solution to the problem of the Niger Delta lies in the hands of the government. And I'm just a bit miffed because the government in Nigeria is led by President Goodluck Jonathan. And we can blame systems and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, we have a leader who has got to lead. And how are we going to have change in the country if the change will not start from the man at the very top? And I think we can't be using the excuse, oh, if he does that, people are going to say because of it, he comes from the Niger Delta. It doesn't matter. We want change. If we want change in the Niger Delta, and by the way, the problem in the Niger Delta cannot be treated in isolation from the general problem affecting Nigeria. He has got to take the lead. That's why Nigerians supposedly voted for him.
Okay, Henry,
the changes we want in Nigeria.
Henry, just hold on there. Don't go. I've got Pastor Akin on the line. Good evening, Pastor Akin. Hello, do we have Pastor Akin there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. We've got Annkio in the studio.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Can I speak to the lady on the screen?
Yes, you can speak to Annkio.
Okay. What I want to tell her is I appreciate what she's talking about, but Nigeria has a long way to go to deal with the data issue or all local government. There is a state or local government who are not able to account for a budget. How can they account for a money within their perimeters? They cannot account for the one being allocated monthly. How can they deal with the national money?
Okay, I'll let Annkio give you a reply there. He's saying that even the allocation to the Niger Delta is being mismanaged. So
those type of arguments are the proper type of arguments when we're looking for solution to the problems. These problems we're discussing, Jonathan has not been the president for up to 3 years. Next May, of Nigeria. 1 year before that, he was the substantive president running out Yar'Adua's government, of which he was the vice president. See, if we look at government as something that is beyond all our capacity, you and I, and then we make government to look as if it's a specialist act. It is not. Governance is management. And if you have had bad management for 50 years and things are set in their ways, it will take a revolution and drastic actions to change, to turn everything around, to come and do the right thing. So either we're going to be able to do this as a people and demand it as a people, instead of looking, people are saying, oh, that Goodluck Jonathan is the head of the government. So he is the head of the government, but he is not isolated. He is together in a government that has so many other operatives.
Henry, are you still there?
I am, yes.
How about what's your reaction to what Anne has just said? She's just said that, look, Jonathan is the president, but we've got a lame duck, so to say. I hope I'm quoting her right. It's like you have a lame duck presidency. If the system around him would not make it work, then there's nothing he can do.
Please, let me quickly correct, because Nigerians and journalists and people have a way of twisting things. The word lame duck government did not arise. You have analyzed it like that. And that's really not even what I am saying. What I am saying is that whatever government is in place, even Yar'Adua's government had issues. Obasanjo's government had issues. Every government will have this type of issues because the system is handed over from one government to the other, and it's all a PDP factor. Now you have other political parties, so Nigeria is in a political mess. It is in a system that has not functioned well at all.
How would you react to that?
Can I just assure your guest that I'm not a journalist, neither am I a politician, so my views are not in any way tainted by any of those leanings. But what I can say is that I do take her point that, yes, Nigeria has suffered from difficult and terrible leadership in the last 50 years. Well, however, you cannot absolve the current leadership from the problems in Nigeria. If somebody has been given power to effect change, then time and saying, oh, he's only been there for 3 years.
But
sorry,
and that's how you're coming across, like you're making excuses for
Jonathan. You're not. I am not making excuses for Jonathan. See, let us, if today what we are saying here in this program, if I go back to my people and now put together a strategy in the Niger Delta, government of Nigeria, and in effect on Nigeria itself, we will still be accused of these things that is now transpiring. All what I am saying here is that, look, what is wrong with Nigeria is not only the politicians that will resolve.
Militants bombed, kidnapped, they make demands, they make things ineffective. Why would people have to now sit back and say, let's give him a chance because it's Niger Delta?
No, that's not what we said. What we are saying is that if we had continued and applied the same pressure that we had started to apply, if we see Jonathan becoming the president, it really, if you look at it in another way, was not really in the interest of the Niger Delta. Because if we had applied the same pressure now, today, on Jonathan's government, we will be asked, are people saying that we should apply the same pressure because we have capacity? We can apply the same pressure. We can.
The question is, if things have not changed on the ground, irrespective of whether it's from the Niger Delta, and somebody, I must say, disagrees with every one of you Niger Delta activists, and you're all patriots in your own right, is Enrioka. I spoke with him on the phone in South Africa in the prison, and he seems extremely disappointed that the Jonathan presidency seems to be the reward for the Niger Delta struggle, that things have not really changed.
I don't even think that the president himself sees him being the president as a reward for the agitation, because nothing that we have agitated for, as you have quite rightly pointed out, has ever been met. because Jonathan becoming the president was not part of our agitation. Yeah. So our agitation has not been met. The point I'm trying to make here this evening is to say that if the type of pressure that was applied during Obasanjo's time and was continued during Yar'Adua's time, if this is the type of pressure that Nigerians are expecting us, both in diaspora and in Nigeria, are expecting us to apply, I want to sit here and assure that we will be able to apply those type of pressures, because it will be an economic pressure that we will apply, because the only thing we have to apply, the only leverage we have is the oil and gas. That is the only leverage we have.
And I'll let Famous, I've got Famous, good evening. Good evening, Famous.
Good evening, I can hear you.
I've got Annkio here. What do you have to contribute, please?
Yeah, what I'm trying to say, I do appreciate the fight for the Niger Delta people, but there's one thing we have to put into consideration. The issue is not about the Niger Delta, the issue is about Nigeria itself. It's about do we really have the true Nigerian character in the system. So it's not about having somebody from, I do appreciate we have somebody from Niger Delta as the president, but all the same, but we should look at it again from that point of view. We are not a country. So all the blame about how Nigeria was formed, be it from other ethnic group, does not come into place. The truth is that do we really have the true Nigerian character?
But Famous, is it not also true?
As a country.
Famous, sorry to interrupt you. Is it not also true that it's the ethnic nationality in Nigeria that make up Nigeria? And Nigeria would not be a country without those ethnic nationalities. And there were countries before Nigeria came into being. Is it not a legitimate question for people to...
If we start going back to that area, we are taking ourselves backward. We are now a country called Nigeria.
I want Anne to react to that. Let's forget the past when Nigeria...
I mean, we are told, and some of us are old enough to remember a great man like Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who was someone who was very proud of his ethnic group. I think that for Nigerians, especially Nigerians who are now in diaspora, to think that the ethnicity issue is just going to go away, it will never go away, because what makes anybody a Nigerian is their ethnic grouping. Are Ghanaians Nigerians? Of course they're not, because they're not in the enclave that is Nigeria, that was put together. So I am a Nigerian and you are a Nigerian because of your ethnicity. Because if you're in Ghana, you will not be a Nigerian. So for people to say that we should forget that we were forced together as a country, I think it's irresponsible. It is not in the interest of Nigeria for Nigerians to think like that. And it is people who really do not appreciate the uniqueness of Nigeria. Yes, of the diversity, the uniqueness in the diversity that makes up Nigeria. It is people who do not appreciate it, that are knocking it. Look, I am a Nigerian because I am an Ijaw person. I am a Nigerian, my mother is British and remains British. But I am not a Nigerian because my mother is British. I'm a Nigerian because my father is an Ijaw man. That's why I'm a Nigerian. You know, so we cannot run away from the fact that Nigeria was forced together as a country 100 years ago. And what the crisis Nigeria has today is as a direct result of this forced marriage that is called Nigeria.
I've got Victor on the line. I want to see if Victor would agree with you. Victor, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening, Victor. Go ahead, please. Victor, are you there? Okay, if we've lost Victor, Anne, let me ask you. I don't know why we're celebrating 1914. Is it not a huge irony that it's this presidency that is celebrating what in my opinion, is like the day we started drawing ourselves back and depriving people of their right to self-determination. Why are we celebrating that amalgamation?
See, if whoever is the president, we will assume whoever would have been the president at this time and 2014 would have celebrated 100 years of Nigeria.
Do you agree with the celebration?
Of course not. I don't. I'm on record as asking that what are we celebrating? We are celebrating 100 years of actually, with all the problems that Nigeria has had and the way we came together. It is actually a great thing on Nigerians that we actually survived as a country with all the plaster and the sellotape and everything and the glue that is being used to package it together for 100 years. But for me, the celebration of Nigeria at 100 years old is just a figure. And it will be, if Jonathan even says, I don't believe that we should celebrate. That is hypothetically. If he says that, they will say, "Oh, he wants to break up. Nigeria."
Do you think, irrespective of where Jonathan comes from, do you think this presidency has performed?
Yes.
I mean, I can confidently say Obasanjo's government was a failure. I say that with no apologies, and I continue to say this presidency is close to clueless.
Well, I wouldn't. I will definitely not agree with you, because in criticizing anything or anyone, we should be constructive, I think, in the criticism, and try as much as we can to stay away from going across, bordering on just being disrespectful, So that aside,
to say a presidency is clueless, it's not being disrespectful. You're just saying they've got no ideas. They've lost every imagination of putting things right.
Which government since 1960 has had an idea?
But we both agree on that, including Jonathan's presidency.
So what you asked a question. You said, do I think that this government has performed?
Yeah.
And I say to you that yes, it depends on how you want to measure performance.
Can you list the areas job creation?
In terms of security, which government, who can perform under the type of circumstances with Boko Haram? The way that the opposition, so to speak, to a person, the opposition to this government is, it is a very messy and complicated thing. The opposition is not just opposing because government has not done this right or done that wrong. It is against a person. And this is where I find it very difficult.
Sabotaged because,
of course, that is the reality in Nigeria, because of where he comes from, one, and two, because of the type of people that are opposing him. Now, the people who are in opposition, that have packaged themselves into opposition, are they really? If they are there, will they be any better? Tinubu was the governor of Lagos State. What did he do? Atiku was the vice president. He had issues with his principal.
I've got one of my caller protesting there. Hello, go ahead, please.
Hello.
Hello, yeah, it's a heated one. Yeah, I've got Annkio with me here.
Hello.
Hello, go ahead, please.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah,
I can hear you.
Okay, now, yeah. Well, I appreciate the fact that we have somebody from the Niger Delta, yeah?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead, please.
Yeah, well, it's so sad to say this. I'm from the Niger Delta, right?
Okay.
But I would say this, it's quite a big disappointment on the part of the president. He has done absolutely nothing for Nigeria.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing. I was one of those that really thought he was going to do something big in Nigeria. But to be frank with you, President Jonathan has absolutely nothing. The country is so corrupt. Let's talk about Niger Delta. The so-called activists All they do is to enrich their pockets. They are not concerned about the ordinary people in the Niger Delta. They have lined their pockets in such a, the so-called Dokumbo and all. They are all millionaires by right. They have been made millionaires. They have done nothing for us in the Niger Delta. All of them, nothing, absolutely nothing. The president has done nothing as well.
I'll let Anna
Nobody to tell us the Niger Delta, the president.
Anthony, I'll just hold on a minute, but it's got a point there, like Tompolo.
Well, I mean, I can't speak for, I cannot speak for anybody else.
But generally, the perception is that activists.
That is the perception. That is the perception. I am not amongst that perception. That is other people's. No, I listen to you. What he has said, all the activists. I am an activist. I am not. I don't have a contract. I do not run a contract. Not that I do not have a right as a Nigerian to apply for contract and get the contract, but if somebody has applied for contract and has gotten the contract, that is their business. If I apply for a contract properly and I get the contract and I execute my contract, I don't think that in itself is a criminal act. But I repeat that I am not one of the activists that you're condemning, and I think that this is where we get it wrong as people. When we're being critical or we stand out, people come out and take risks. It's not everybody that can do what I'm doing. I choose to do what I am doing, and I accept that people will be critical. I don't expect everybody to agree with me. But do not make sweeping statements about somebody that you don't know. Just don't say all the activists. I am an activist, and I am not a rich activist. I have not, like I said, I repeat, I do not have a $1 billion naira contract or 2 billion naira contract. Not that if I have a choice, if I apply for oil, I don't see why I shouldn't have a right to live there.
Maybe one of the reasons is that we've not seen you with an AK-47, and but people like Tompolo and Akete Tom seem to be the lucky ones. I've got Ayo. Ayo, good evening.
Hello.
Hello, good evening, Ayo.
Good evening. Thank you. Can I talk on?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. This is a very interesting program. I'm talking from London here.
All right.
Mr. Moderator, you are putting too many questions into Madam's mouth. Please let her answer before you give her another question. Giving a constructive, constructive answer. Nigeria problem is multifarious. It is so deep and deeper than the blue sea. Any president who comes will try and do his own best or her own best and leave the rest.
Yes.
As far as where I'm concerned, Jonathan is doing well. He cannot solve all the problem in one day. He's mountainous. That's one thing. And then we are fond of criticizing, and giving kudos to any government. It's not only Obasanjo that has done well with the MTN line, with all this line, but as far as the roadmap to power is concerned, in Nigeria now, Jonathan is doing well. It has been privatized, and this is a very big score. By the time we look into 2 or 3 years, things will be better. Please let Nigerians give praises.
Okay, hold on, Ayo, don't go. Ayo, don't go, just hold on. I've got Tony on the line, and Tony might agree with what you've just said. Tony, good evening. Hello, is Tony there?
Yes, he's there, sorry.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my question is to your guest. I think she is representing her constituency very, very well. But I just hope that they are not in majority in Nigeria, because Nigeria should come first before ethnic minority. It's a question like
before ethnic nationality, you meant?
For speaking. We've got to, and secondly, the problem with Jonathan was that the process that brought Jonathan was defective in the first place.
Okay, sorry, I have to quickly cut you because we're running out of time, and I want to ask Anne these quick questions. And thanks for calling. We want to thank all our callers. Anne, you've met the president. What kind of man is he?
Well, the president, I've known him since he was a deputy governor in Biafra State. And he remains the way I have known him. He's very humble. He's unassuming. He's deep. He's intelligent.
Is it not that humility that corrupt ministers are taking advantage of? And
Well,
he seems not to be doing anything about
well,
corruption.
I don't, again, you know, like the man said, you should allow me to answer one question. But it's just the time. Time is never there enough to address all of these issues. One thing is very clear. Nigeria's problem is 100 years old. It started at the amalgamation. It will not end with Jonathan. It will continue until we find the right solution to the problem. Of course, people will take advantage of anybody, whether you're humble or you're not humble. People will take advantage. But Nigeria as a country has been taken advantage of right from inception, and that is what the problem is.
What would be your last shot in
my own solution to the crisis, the problem of Nigeria, which will continue if we do not have a solution, is that we must sit down and discuss. And we must look at things like regionalism. We must look at self-determination. We must look at federalism, real federalism. And we cannot pretend that the ethnic groups that make up Nigeria are no longer ethnic groups just because we're 100 years old.
And thank you very much for coming on Politics with K. Viewers, that's the end of tonight's show. Tony, Ngozi, Ayo, Ajayi, you've all been wonderful to make this possible today. We'll see you next Thursday. It's Politics with KO, Ben Television. See you. And President Jonathan, please get well quick so that we can get back to the business of governance. Good night.
Ben Television is the first channel to introduce interactive programs within the ethnic and multicultural channels in the United Kingdom. Television's coverage ranges all over Great Britain and Ireland, reaching more than 7 million homes on the popular Sky satellite platform. The channel also reaches out to Western Europe and Northern Africa, collectively reaching more than 30 million satellite-accessible homes. Contact Ben for advertisement, sponsorship, or